It's Sunday school. Is this the last Sunday school of June, I think? If I'm not mistaken, maybe not. But anyway, it's Sunday school. So gather round, everyone. Let's take our seats. No chewing gum over there. Leonard, put out that joint. I don't know if Leonard's smoking dope this morning. Anyway, let's talk about curses. And what is and is not a curse. Now, I've always said, from a big cosmic point of view, maybe not for a more microcosmic point of view, but looking at the big picture, the only thing I can change with magic, the only thing I can truly change with magic is myself. And where the subject of curses is concerned, I'll take that further and say the only thing that I can curse with magic is myself. To really be a curse and to really be magic. Now, everybody, I'd say almost everybody, if you're driving on the freeway and some asshole cuts you off and almost kills you and themselves and everyone else around you with their reckless driving, don't you want to have the power, just for a second at least? Wouldn't you just like to have the power to point your finger at them and make their car explode? Or something hideous happen to them? Or if someone wrongs you terribly, like just for instance, if a landlord evicts you after 22 years for no good reason other than for no good reason, you might seethe and steep yourself in a broth of malice and hatred and indignation that you would like to just turn into a death ray, and a painful one too, not just a death ray. You want to get medieval on them, okay? In a sense, you have married that person or that object or that circumstances. You have committed a wedding ceremony that has united you two in a death struggle that only you are going to lose. And don't get me wrong, okay, there's a place for the magical technique of cursing, and then we're going to talk about that today. And when I announced that I was going to talk about curses this morning, one of my Facebook friends said, "Hey, well, what about Psalm 106? No, excuse me, 109." And so I just quickly looked it up to see what the poet, they say it was David, but what the poet said. Do you want to hear it? Well, if you don't, I'm going to do it anyway. It's not the whole chapter here. Be not silent, O God of my praise, for wicked and deceitful mouths are open against me. speaking against me with lying tongues, cutteth me off on the freeway. No. Evicteth me after 22 years. Oh, okay. They beset me with words of hate and attack me without cause. In return for my love, they accuse me. Even as I make prayer for them, so they reward me evil for good and hatred for my love. Appoint, here's his prayer. Appoint a wicked man against him, and let the accuser bring him to trial. When he is tried, let him come forth guilty. Let his prayer be counted as sin. May his days be few. May another seize his goods. May his children be fatherless and his wife a widow. May his children wander about and beg. May they be driven out of the ruins they inhabit. May the creditor seize all that he has. May strangers plunder the fruits of his toil. Let there be none to extend kindness to him, nor any to pity his fatherless children. May his posterity be cut off. May his name be blotted out in the second generation. May the iniquity of his fathers be remembered before the Lord, and let not the sin of his mother be blotted out. Let them be before the Lord continually, and may his memory be cut off from the earth. For he did not remember to show kindness, but pursued the poor and needy and the brokenhearted to their death. He loved to curse. Let curses come on him. It goes on. David, or whoever the poet was obviously having one of those "you cut me off on the freeway," cut you off on the freeway days. But we can all sort of understand that. But see what that has done. That curse, in a sense, has married David, or whoever the poet is, with that person that so terribly wronged him. It made him feel perversely good to wallow in that. And chances are that that person's own karma and their own behavior have set a chain reaction of events that either in this lifetime or on some other cosmic scale will take their toll in the most excruciatingly, poetically personal way. Far bigger curses than having people to pull the plug on his credit, or to even take him to the gallows. Don't get in the way. Your curses are only getting in the way of the cosmic wheel that is turning to eventually extract a far greater recompense, punishment for that person's deeds, as well as the one that is turning toward you. Don't add more momentum. You're only adding momentum to your own wheel by doing that. And it's easy for me to say, but when someone cuts you off at the freeway, it's hard to remember that. But what you can do is not dwell in that. And certainly, reconsider before you start to tinker with your precious subconscious mind in some kind of magic ceremony that further links you to that person and those circumstances. Now, magicians will point to, well, curses are all over the place in Goetia and magic, like in a, let's see, here we go, in your Solomonic magic. You whip up a spirit. Now it's a spirit we're talking about, okay? You've tried to whip up a spirit. You, as a magician, are trying to whip up a specific spirit. And you're having no luck. Now, you could look at that as the reason that you're having no luck whipping up that spirit is that there is some kind of hole, some kind of dent in your authoritative magical armor that is allowing the spirit to currently ignore you. And the first thought you have is, oh, the spirit is being reluctant to answer my call. Well, maybe you're just not calling with enough authority. Maybe you're just not showing your badge at the front door of the crack house where that spirit lives. And so that's what those curses are about. Now, this is the second half of Key to Solomon's Key is the Goetic Handbook, okay? The classic key to Solomon's, lesser key to Solomon. Here's a general curse. It's called the Spirit's Chain. Against all spirits that rebel. Now remember, you're talking to yourself here too. Because, O thou wicked and disobedient spirit, whatever your name is, because thou hast rebelled and hast not obeyed nor regarded my words which I have rehearsed, they being all glorious and incomprehensible names of the true God. Hey, I'm working for the district attorney, I'm working for the mayor, I'm working for the governor, I'm working for the president, okay? I do by the power of these names, the which no creature is able to resist, curse thee into the depths of the bottomless abyss, where there to remain until the day of doom in chains and in fire and brimstone unquenchable, unless thou forthwith appear before this circle in this triangle to do my will. And therefore come quickly and peaceably in and by these names of God, Adonai, Tsaobaoth, Adonai, and Miraran. Come thou, for it is the King of kings, even Adonai, that commandeth thee. Now, okay, and if the spirit just doesn't come then, you gotta torture it with fire, and there's a conjuration of the fire, and then that's followed by a greater curse. And I love the way it starts. Now, O thou spirit end, since thou art still pernicious and disobedient, and wilt not appear unto me to answer such things I would have desired of thee, or would have been satisfied in, I do in the name and by the power and dignity of the omnipresent and immortal Lord God of hosts, Jehovah Tetragrammaton, the only creator of heaven and hell. And now they start to get into the magician's own narrow spiritual worldview. He's dragging in his religion on this. Okay. And see, I do bind thee in the depths of the bottomless abyss, there to remain until the day of judgment. Okay, but when you say day of judgment, already you're dragging yourself into the situation. The day of judgment is coming to you too, in this scenario. Okay. And I say, into the lake of fire and brimstone, which is prepared for all rebellious, disobedient, obstinate, and pernicious spirits. And here comes a little section that is pure gold. Forget all of that other stuff. This is the direct curse. Let all the company of heaven curse thee. Let the sun, moon, and all the stars curse thee. Let the light and all the hosts of heaven curse thee into fire unquenchable, and into the torments unspeakable. Remember, you're also talking to yourself. Okay, it goes on and on. And then it says, oh, but when the spirit pops up, you go, oh, hi there. Everything's okay. I know you're a little confused here, you know. Sorry I had to threaten you like that. Okay. I don't curse people, okay? I don't stick pins in people even when I watch the news. It's truly, it's not worth it. Okay, I do my best to calm myself down with thoughts of being alone with whoever I think deserves it in some medieval torture chamber with pliers and a blowtorch, you know. I do my best to talk myself down from that. But I was once, and that's the story, I'm only going to just mention the story in passing here. I've got in the book Low Magic, where I was requested in my capacity, actually, as a I guess a wandering bishop with his bona fide apostolic credentials that would satisfy the Church of Rome. I was asked to exorcise a school, and a school that had been plagued by a dramatic series of serious and curious misfortunes that had at least fired the imagination of the faculty and administration of the school. It was a Catholic school, one of the oldest in the country, actually. And whether there was any objective demon involved with all of these series, months, back-to-back deaths, misfortunes, amputations, cancers, sudden deaths in front of the classroom, foaming mouths, moved furniture, things like that. And it's a long story how they got to me, but they did. Shit happens, okay? Shit happens all over the place, and sometimes shit happens in lumps of events because of, I don't know, astrological things or whatever. Shit happens. Doesn't have to be a demon. But in a sense, the faculty, the administration, the school, the nuns, the Mother Superior, more or less made it a spirit. That's what they wanted exorcised. And so after I agreed to do it, I more or less said, okay, I'm going to just gather up all of the shit that's happening, the various things, and I'm going to gather them all together and lump them and create the spirit to exercise. I'm not going to exercise what made the little nun fall down and die in front of her class. I'm not going to. No, I'll lump that together with. I made a conglomerate. Okay. And then that's what I would exercise, and I figured out its name, and I figured out its sigil and everything else, and after I banished and purified and sealed absolutely every room in the school, it took pretty much all night to do it. I brought them all together. The final thing I would banish would be the vice principal's office. So I had scooped them all together and concentrated them in the vice principal's office, and there I would continue the evocation of the spirit and have a talk with it. If I couldn't get it to agree to get its shit together or leave, I would curse it to annihilation, which is exactly kind of what I had to end up doing. And let's see. I was pretty wild and crazy and more or less magically hallucinating after all the hours of banishing, purifying, sealing all the other rooms in the school, that I was pretty much what you would picture a magician to be, a magician who could actually see his thoughts and to see his when I would draw a banishing pentagram, I was seeing it, okay? But it took hours and hours to pump myself up into that. I don't get that way all the time. But I was a fire-breathing wizard by the time I continued the specific evocation of the spirit, which was named Slug. Slug. And it came in the form of a giant magpie. But anyway, in that state of mind, and with the spirit in the triangle that I had on a small Post-it note on the vice principal's desk, I stopped to ask the spirit why it was tormenting this school. Now, I could have just, and I should have just cursed it to annihilation right there, just so I can go home and have breakfast. But I didn't. I was curious. And after going through every room of a 100-year-old Catholic girls' school with icons of bloody crown Jesus and saints hung upside down and saints with thousands of arrows in them, and the smell and the must of 100-year-old girls' school, 100 years of unhappy menstruating girls. No wonder there was enough astral chum in that school to create 1,000 demons. But I was so weary of the sorrowful images of every one of those rooms that finally, when I saw the spirit, when I saw that magic magpie in the triangle, it was like, oh wow, I got a magic buddy. Oh God, you look good compared to all of this other shit I've been banishing. So I stopped to ask, hey, magic buddy, why are you killing these people, maiming these people, torturing these people? And it answered me. And when spirits answer you, they do it on the same wavelength as your question. So just the second you're through with your question, you've already received the complete answer. And the complete answer was, is it evil for a crow to feast upon the eyes of a dangling knight? Now, I don't think in language like that, okay? It was, and it instantly brought to mind the scene, especially in Excalibur, where the Knights of the Round Table who have failed in their quests are hung from, their bodies are hung from trees, and the crows sit and peck at their eyes. And the spirit's asking me, hey, you ask me why I'm doing this? Is it a sin to peck out for a crow to pick out the eyes? You know, this is my nature, you know. Why was I here? What really was my motive for doing this? Why was I standing here with my almond wand and my holy water and my magic toys and my purple yarmulke and my pretty little bishop's stole? Did I look cool? Did I think all of this was going to look impressive in my magical diary? Maybe even I'd write a book about this someday. These thoughts triggered in my exhausted brain the chain reaction of even more crippling doubts and self-recriminations. See what the spirit triggered in the magician? See how I'm being distracted? All this as the great bird grew more noble and stately as it stared silently at me from within the triangle of my magical mind's eye. But then I realized that he wasn't being silent, that the accusatory voice I was hearing was that of the demon and not my own inner soliloquy. It was the damn magpie that tormented me with these thoughts, these ideas, these images. I had to hand it to Slug. It was classic demonic behavior that I had fallen for. My concentration had been severely broken, and as soon as I realized what was going on, Slug started to flap his wings and lift himself into the air. I brandished my wand toward the triangle as if I were snapping a whip. Back down, you son of a bitch. Every ounce of will flowed through my extended arm out the barrel of my wand. It took everything I had to bring the great bird down upon the triangle. The moment his talons touched the ground, I heard a noise outside the hallway. Out of the corner of my right eye, I saw the door to the staff area suddenly swing open. "Oh, sorry," was all Larry, the IT man. That was the only other person in the building besides my brother. "Oh, sorry," was all Larry, the IT man, could say after barging into a smoky, candlelit room to find a red-faced wizard in a yarmulke and a bishop's stole aiming a stick at a tiny yellow post-it note. I didn't move, neither did I take my eyes off the triangle. With the same strange voice I used to call forth Slug, I snarled at poor Larry through gritted teeth. "You're going to have to leave, Larry." Larry left. And it's arguably Larry that I exorcised. But that's things on a magical level that none of us could ever say with objective certainty. Anyway, that was it. I said, that's it. No more farting around. It's annihilation time. And here's what I used to completely annihilate the spirit. I used that line that from one of the curses of the Goetia, the one that let the company of heaven curse thee, let the sun, the moon, okay, all of that. Only Aleister Crowley, early on, in the late 1800s, even before the Book of the Law and all of this other stuff, transcribed that particular curse as a supreme curse into Enochian, into the angelic language of Enochian. And that's what I used. Christios cormpha peripsal ama ils. Let the company of heaven curse thee. Christios roar, grey tofglo aueve ama ils. Let the sun, moon, all the stars curse thee. Christios les siftia otofglo pir peripsal ama ils. Pujo yalperds dies apila, od pujo mir adfat. Let the light and all the holy ones of heaven curse thee, into the burning flames that liveth forever, and into torment unspeakable. Slug dissolved without a squawk. I felt as though my body was set in stone, my arm and wand still leveled at an empty desk. Oddly enough, I did not feel triumphant or even relieved. My overall feeling was that of embarrassment over the fact that I had allowed the spirit to toy with me, and that I had not simply annihilated it immediately upon the conjuration. And I go on for a little while after that. In Liber Librae, Crowley sort of paraphrased or give another version of I guess you would say a small classic Golden Dawn lecture. Therefore, at Liber Librae, therefore, as hath already been said, establish thyself firmly in the equilibrium of forces, in the center of the cross of the elements, that cross from whose center the creative word issued in the birth of the dawning universe. Be thou therefore prompt and active as the sylphs, but avoid frivolity and caprice. Be energetic and strong like the salamanders, but avoid irritability and ferocity. Be thou flexible and attentive to images like the undines, but avoid idleness and changeability. Be laborious and patient like the gnomes, but avoid grossness and avarice. So shalt thou gradually develop the powers of thy soul, and fit thyself to command the spirits of the elements. For wert thou to summon the gnomes to pander to thine avarice, thou wouldst no longer command them, but they would command you. Wouldst thou abuse the pure beings of the woods and mountains to fill thy coffers and satisfy thy hunger for gold? Would thou debase the spirits of living fire to serve thy wrath and hatred? Wouldst thou violate the purity of the souls of the waters to pander to thy lust and debauchery? Wouldst thou force the spirits of the evening breeze to minister to thy folly and caprice? Know that with such desires thou canst but attract the weak, not the strong. And in that case, the weak will have power over thee. That's it for a little extra long Sunday school. It's always nice to talk about curses on Sunday school. Until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself. Be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love's the law. Love under will.